Hey guys, Chad here with the Soccer Mom Off-Road channel, and today I'm going to show you my super janky, super hokey, home-built rooftop tent hoist. Why do I need a rooftop tent hoist? Well, I can't fit this GX in the garage with the rooftop tent on top of the GX. Ask me how I know that. And before you make suggestions, let me just tell you I've tried everything. This GX has air springs. I've tried lowering the air springs all the way to the low setting. I've even disconnected the air springs so that they completely flatten onto the bump stops. And I've done that while airing my tires down to 4 pounds. And I've taken the ladder off of my rooftop tent, all to see if I can get it in that garage door. And let me just tell you, I can't. So, nor do I want to leave the rooftop tent on top of my GX all the time. This is 90% a daily driver slash family vehicle, 10%, maybe less, it's a weekend adventure rig. I don't want to leave my rooftop tent on top of my rig. One, I live in Redding, and the sun here in the summer is brutal and will destroy anything that it touches, especially the soft case that's on this. But two, I'm not the kind of guy that leaves all my overland gear on my rig when I'm not overlanding or camping. I put it all away, and I'm really miles per gallon conscious, and so all those create drag and really kill my MPGs. So when I'm not using this as a camper, as an overlander, all the gear is put away, including the rooftop tent. And I don't want it outside. I want it in my garage, kept out of the elements. To do that, I had to devise a rooftop tent hoist system. And let me show you that. The first half of my rooftop tent hoist system lives here in the garage. This is where I store my rooftop tent 98% of the time. And basically, it involves this hand winch, which then goes up to a pulley, then goes over to another pulley, then goes down to a pulley on top of the rooftop tent, and then goes up and attaches to the ceiling, the rafters up top. All right, this is just a simple half-ton hand winch from Harbor Freight. And it is what it's a hand winch, so you got to crank it. Now, when I built this a few years ago, I was trying to save pennies any way I could. So they had two different forms of hand winches. They've got this one, which literally just cranks like this. And then for $5 more, they have a worm drive version with a handle in the front that you crank like this. I didn't know it at the time, but if I'd spent $5 more, I could have got the worm drive version, take the handle off, and put an impact on it, and then raise this thing up with my impact. It'll go right up. I've tried to use the impact on this, and it does not work. So I may replace this with the worm drive version because I got to tell you, it goes real slow, and when you're doing this for like 10 minutes, your arm gets a little tired, you know? So save yourself some money. If this system interests you at all, you want to do something similar for your garage, get the worm drive and use your impact and save yourself a lot of time. And your arm, your shoulder, save that. All right, I tried a lot of different mounting solutions for this hand winch, and they were all disastrous. There's a lot of pressure on this as it pulls that rooftop tent up. But the one that worked, the one that I landed on, was building this whole support system that comes, it's attached to this rafter here, comes down, goes to the wall. It's got this brace that comes down to support the pressure as this thing tries to push up. And this works great. I haven't had any troubles with this. It's really sturdy, really solid, and it will handle all of the force that this winch is putting on it as it lifts that tent up. Now the rooftop tent is secured with 3 different straps. There's 2 straps, and they're just ratchet straps. 2 ratchet straps go across the tent and hook to the pulley system itself. Then I have a 3rd strap hooked to the rooftop tent system, and it goes over the rafters all the way across and secures on the other side, and that cinches it up. And I've got that just as a safety strap in case for some reason the straps that were attached to the pulley failed. I would have 1 more strap cinching it to the rafters to keep it in place. I have a really simple pipe frame that I've put together that slides under the bottom of the rooftop tent to hoist it up. It's got some hooks on all 4 corners, which the ratchet straps connect to, and they go across and hook into a gambrel, which I'll show you in a minute. And I cinch all that down, and that's what the pulley attaches to hoist this up. I don't know what these pipes are. I found them in my backyard when we moved in, But they're perfect because when I lower this down on my roof rails, I just slide these pipes right out and they come out without damaging anything, and they actually work really perfect. All right, I went ahead and removed the third safety strap that went over the top of the rafters. We're ready to lower it down. And when I let this thing go, we're gonna actually just let it free fall. And it falls surprisingly slow. And so what that affords me the opportunity to do is to stand near it and guide it down right onto the dolly. Let me just tell you this though. Once that thing starts free falling, the handle on this hand winch starts spinning and you can't stop it. So you're going to lower it by hand really slowly, or you're just going to let it go. Trying to stop it can whack you in the face, hurt your arm. Wouldn't advise it. We're just going to remove the top cable from that gambrel because that is a part of lifting it onto the rooftop tent hoist outside and getting that onto the GX. But we'll probably check the straps, tighten them down a little bit, make sure they're good and secure. All right, guys, up to this point, you haven't seen janky yet. The hoist system in my garage is, I don't know, I think it's kind of legit. But what I'm about to show you is super janky and super hokey. Feast your eyes on this. Introducing the super janky and hokey home-built rooftop tent hoist. So backstory, when we moved in, there was this gantry. A gantry is, well, something like this shape that people use to hoist engines out of cars, etc. There was an angle iron, poorly built gantry in the backyard. Sat there forever. And as I was trying to figure out ways to get the rooftop tent on top of my rig faster, easier, without the help of other people, I began thinking about this gantry. And it was short at the time, maybe a little bit taller than me, which is not very tall. And I began thinking, if I could make that taller, I could maybe utilize that as a rooftop tent hoist. So I ended up getting some metal and cutting that gantry in half, adding some pieces in, welding that all back together, and putting some bracings in, which I don't even know if they work or not. And I've welded on some pulleys and created a very questionable rooftop tent hoist. I didn't really grind the metal down before I welded it, and I'm using my Harbor Freight welder, which is like the cheapest wire feed welder they make. And so with old crappy rusty metal and a crappy welder, you get what you see here. But here's the thing, it works. In addition to that, I have a Harbor Freight gambrel and pulley system. This is actually for processing wild game out in the field. And you strap your game up to this thing, and then you hoist it up, and then you can process it while it's hanging from a tree. So I've modified this to work for myself. I had to modify the pulley system. The pulleys that were there, it said it's rated up for like 650 pounds. My rooftop tent only weighs 150, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't working. So I added a third pulley. Don't ask me how. I did all this project before I was filming for the Soccer Mom Offroad channel. So I don't even remember how I did it, but I did it somehow. I added a third pulley to the bottom, and now it doesn't pull effortlessly or totally smoothly, but it does work. So the pulley the bottom rope goes up to a top pulley, which then goes over to a side pulley, because obviously I can't stand directly beneath it when I'm hoisting it on, or when I'm lowering it onto the car. So I added this extra pulley out to the side so I could stand outside the rooftop tent hoist and lower that or raise it onto the car. So that's basically my super janky, extra hokey, home-built rooftop tent hoist. It does want to spin, so you just put it back where you want it. Now, would an electric hoist be way easier? Of course it would, but I did this cheap. I've got this little bar that I welded on here, which allows me to just tie this off so that it doesn't go anywhere. All right, there we go. It's lowered. Now I have to just get that hook off the top of the pulley, but that's not that hard, and it's not that hard to do. So there you go. All right, so all we need to do is release the ratchet straps, take the gambrel off the top, and then we'll slide those support poles out, and I'll show you just how easy that is. All right, and this is the gambrel that I was telling you about. It's a part of that gambrel and pulley system for hanging and dressing game in the field, but I've repurposed it for my rooftop tent. So the pulley system hooks to here, whether it's in the garage or whether it's on my rooftop tent hoist, pulls there, and then the ratchet straps fit into these little grooves here, and that's what cinches this down. As I tighten that down, it cinches this down to the top of the rooftop tent, and then I can lift it and lower it as I need. All right, before I can slide these poles out the back, I got to take these hooks off. They come off real easy. There's one on either side. All right, with our hooks out of the front, we're ready to just pull these poles right out. All right, guys, there you have it. My super hokey, super janky, home-built rooftop tent hoist system. It's on top. Now I just need to secure it. I won't show you that now, but I need to secure it and then I'm good to go. If you have a better, more efficient way to get your rooftop tent into a garage that you can't fit in with the rooftop tent on top of your rig, and a super efficient way to get it on top of your rig once you're outside your garage, I would love to hear about it in the comments below, because if there's an easier way to do this than what I'm doing, I would love to know about it. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you again on the trail, and until next time, adventure on.